So we've just parked at the Queen Elizabeth Country Park car park. The first one you come to is you come through the barriers and headed straight up. It's about a 4 or 5 minute pull uphill, quite steep. Then it starts to flatten out onto another car park, which if you don't want to do that pull straight from getting out of the car, you can park at the top here. As you can see from the top, it's a great place to come for family days out. Also, we have this area here, which is a barbecue area, even has a pizza oven. You can hire these out on the website. So you've got parking slides and things back on the top there for the younger children. And then for the slightly older, more adventurous ones, there is an adventure park here with all sorts of climbing frames and little hideout huts there in the background, if you can see that. Yes, it's pretty good. All these things were done as an initiative in 2020. The park got £260 million to improve its signage and its footpaths and things for people to do whilst here. It's a very popular place to come for families and dog walkers. So if you're watching this video, you're probably aware that the South Downs Way passes through here and is the first stop generally on the walk from Winchester to Butser Hill. Butser Hill being the highest point on the South Downs Way at 817 feet with extensive views right across Hampshire. As we walk round further on, I'll show you where the South Downs Way is. After leaving the car, it's about 1.2 miles, you start heading towards Ward Down, and there's big extensive flat areas, as you can see behind me, where you can bring a picnic, ball games or whatever during the summer months with your family. One word of caution when you're walking in Queen Elizabeth Country Park is try not to go onto the mountain bike trails. You'll be flattened. They go off all over the place through the woods. There are 5 main trails here which are not mountain biking, but you'll find that most of the trails that go off into the woods are for mountain bikes and they don't hang around. Also, for any of you mountain bikers, there are horse trails, so try and stay off them. You do get a lot of horses riding through here, especially in the spring and the summertime.
So if you just keep following the top path, you come to the second highest viewpoint in Queen Elizabeth Country Park, which is known as Ward Down. And behind me, you can see the little village of Burriton.
So the names Burriton, Clanfield and Chilton all come from Saxon times. The word Chilton can be broken up into a Saxon word, cork, which meant chalk, and tun, which meant farm or hamlet. And there were small Saxon settlements all around the edge of Hampshire, right into the 6th century. So most of the trees that you find in Queen Elizabeth Country Park are beech trees, with a few scattered yews, like just about everywhere else on the South Downs. This part here being particularly beautiful, goes into a big dip, especially in the autumn time, when you have all the autumn colours. Further around is a beautiful pine forest, which we'll take you through later. Being on the South Downs, most of the pathways here are chalk. Great in the summer months, but quite treacherous in the winter. They get slime on the top of them and become very slippery. And in this area, they've been mining chalk for hundreds of years. is one of the many viewpoints that you get looking back out towards Chorlton. So this is the pathway that runs along the South Downs Way. So around this whole walk you want to keep following the purple foot. That's the Long Woodland Trail. Something to bear in mind when you come to Queen Elizabeth Country Park, as you head out the back after Hold Down, the Forestry Commission very often do lots of heavy vehicle moving, and as a result of that, a lot of the time the back end of it can be very, very muddy. This pathway here is actually known as Staunton Way. And through this gate here, and on this sign, you can see that the Staunton Way goes straight up there. So the great thing with Queen Elizabeth Country Park is there's actually 3 or 4 different trails that crisscross through here, long walking trails. One being the Staunton Way, and then you've got the Hangers Way, the South Downs Way. I think there may be another that I'm forgetting, but yeah, there's quite a few that pass through here. So on some of the long trail walks that pass through Hampshire, you'll find yourself passing through Queen Elizabeth Country Park. Also just over there is Chorlton, which is one of the little Saxon hamlet villages that I mentioned earlier in the video. So at the top of the park, on the opposite side to War Down, there's a big replanting scheme going on, and they fenced off a huge area with little tiny saplings in tubes, obviously to keep the deer out from eating them, because the fence is so high it must be for deer. But this area was cleared late last year. There was lots of diseased silver birch trees here, so it'd be nice to see it full of trees again. As you walk through this beechland forest, up there on the hill, you won't be able to see it on this camera unfortunately, but there's a windmill. It's really beautiful. And just below it, if you walk out that way, there's a massive field full of sunflowers. Excellent place to come in the spring and summertime once the sunflowers are out. Very picturesque. So these branches here that you can see coming up from the bottom, I always remember as a kid, my granddad used to make these into walking sticks. He was a very handy man. Every time I see it, it reminds me of it. Not quite sure what the wood is, but yeah, happy memories. So early on I mentioned about the far end of Queen Elizabeth Country Park had a pine forest. You can see here in the background, we're just about to enter it. This is my personal favourite here. So this is the start of the pine forest in through here. It's quite a magical place, I love it. So someone's done a proper little job here, building the shelter. Just an A-frame all bolted together. I've been camping, to be honest. Yes, just keep following the trail as it winds through the woodland. And this is on the return leg now back to the car park. Off in the distance you can probably hear the A3, which is the main road to London. One of the busiest roads in the country. After popping out of the woodland, you come back on a chalk path. Basically runs back down to the two car parks at Queen Elizabeth Country Park, and up in the distance there you can see Butser Hill, and I'm sure you can hear the lovely A3. If you'd be following the South Downs Way, just here in the background is where you would pop out into Queen Elizabeth Country Park. That's actually beautiful through there, and well worth a walk on its own. So this is the car park that you can park in before you head up the hill and park in the top car park we showed you earlier. And the car park that we parked in is just down here, which is the main one. So we're almost back to the car now. In fact, this is where we parked on the Butser Hill video. And as you'll see in a minute, there's a great little bike park up here for children. They've got a few different courses here for different levels of ability. This is like the starter one. You see, it gets very busy. The other two things that I forgot to mention at the top, next to the assault course, you can actually do paintball in here, and further round from there, there's a dog agility course as well, for you that like to train your dogs. There's also a cafe and a visitor centre here, and just on the left you can see there's a dog wash station as well. Car parking here is done at these little booths and is £8 for 4 hours in peak season and £7 off season, and it's worth mentioning it is card only. So that's the end of this video. The walk was 5.3 miles, and with its great mixture of terrain, I'd say it was well worth a visit. So if you head onto the website, you can see when the events are on here. Every Saturday morning they have a park run here, and throughout the year there's lots of events, so worth checking before you come, because sometimes it can be absolutely rammed. So do bear that in mind. You'll find that some of the mountain bikers here can be quite inconsiderate, so if you've got young children, just keep them close by. But from us, we'll see you again on another walk soon. Be somewhere local, Hampshire or Sussex. Check out our playlist down in the description and all of our links. So stay safe out there, and we'll see you again on the next walk. Take care, guys. Bye.